Good afternoon. How are you? I'm getting out because I was writing papers this morning, but in the background I was listening to the trial, Chauvin's trial, for murdering, for no good reason, a person of color, George Floyd. The case is troubling on several levels, and the way I pose the question is, at the end of this trial, will we have found that a man, Chauvin, could act like a plantation overseer or hired hand and treat a person of color any way he wanted, in violation of the notion of the badges of slavery that we outlawed by an amendment to the Constitution after the Civil War? Or are we vindicating the original promise of America that all men and women are created equal and are treated as such with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? What I see in the defense of this case is that they believe in white supremacy. They believe in diminishing George Floyd to an object that could lose the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness just because he acted, in contempt of cop? Do this, what I tell you to do, or I'll push you up against the ground, mash your face into the ground, lean into you with my knees, make it impossible for you to breathe, and despite people in the surrounding area who tell me to stop and let up, and that this poor man, George Floyd, may die, and then does. One of the witnesses that appeared, which I thought was especially persuasive, was Mr. Williams. He's a martial artist. He's been doing it since he was 7. When on cross-examination, the defense attorney tried to lead him to say, oh, the martial arts, it's just a sport. And he said, no, it's a lifestyle. And I know something about this because my dad, when I was younger, and we kids got into fist fights, nothing really terrible, but that's what you did. He enlisted me in a martial arts program that was judo, jiu-jitsu, and aikido. And the notion wasn't so much to accumulate skills at martial arts, although you did that, but to get a philosophy, a lifestyle for how you handled, not your anger, but physical discourse, if you will, the failure of oral discourse. And I think that's what Mr. Williams was talking about when he was talking about his lifestyle. And he has done mixed martial arts. So he's familiar, because of the groundwork in martial arts, with chokes and holds, and that people tap out when one of these chokes is applied. That is what happens in the sport. But that's also part of the philosophy. Why would you do something like that any further than is necessary in a competitive situation? But the defense attorneys like comparing these sports with real life when nobody was allowed to tap out. Nobody was allowed to get up. Nobody was let go from this chokehold that can kill people in seconds. And they didn't care. They were inhumane. And so his testimony was basically to elaborate upon what he observed. And they kept wanting to say he was angry. And he explained he wasn't angry. He was talking about what should be done. And he increased his voice so that he would be heard. And he was not the only one saying this. And there are other people saying it as well. So there are people constantly informing Chauvin that what he was doing was endangering life. Now let's talk a little bit about the defense counsel. First of all, a defense counsel in basically a second, third degree manslaughter murder case should be asking leading questions rather than open questions. Sort of like, what did you see that day? Wrong question. Isn't it a fact on that day you didn't arrive until so many minutes after this incident began? I don't know. Yes. Well, isn't it a fact you arrived at such and such a time? But this defense attorney didn't do that. And as a result, he got into discussions with an expert about martial arts. And he couldn't get him to say what he wanted him to say for his purposes. And that's a benefit to us, because I think it's unseemly, improper. It should be a violation of ethics to basically appeal to a jury by appealing to white supremacy. Plainly, the defense has decided I only have to get one juror, and he probably has one or more in mind, and that's who he's talking to when he does this. So we out here who are observing this case, we're saying, oh, that's terrible, that's not working. But he's not trying to work to get the whole jury or a majority of the jury. He wants to get one to hang the jury, so maybe they won't do it again, or there'll be a better plea deal than there was before this trial. Or he'll count on them not trying the case again. I think that's reprehensible. I know that it's done, but a lawyer who doesn't have a sense of justice on this side of the argument is no lawyer at all, not one we can accept. And so I'm increasingly discouraged by his performance, that is the content of his advocacy. And I'm grateful that he doesn't always have the skill to carry it off by the fact that he doesn't know how to use leading questions. Now the prosecution, and maybe I haven't seen everything because I've been working, but the prosecution has a consistent line, keeps within the lines of probity, accuracy, truth, and I think that may serve them in the end. But the real question here is, which side of the equation are we going to end up on? At the end of this case, will this be a case in which we reward the overseer template of how we deal with race relations and say this police officer should be acquitted? Or will we vindicate the Constitution that provides that we should all be treated equally when George Floyd certainly was not and was killed wrongly? So that's my thinking for the day. I finish this walk, I'll go back to working on my other cases, and I'll play this in the background. So hope you get out today. It's pretty nice here. All the best. Bye-bye.